What if the most powerful cultural engine in the world and in America has been hiding in plain sight the whole time? Not because people could not see it, but because of how it was named, framed, and sold. Well, here's what the numbers say with regards to Black music. In 2024, R&B and hip hop accounted for 25.3% of all music streaming in the United States, more than double the next genre. That means the most consumed music in this country is rooted in Black creativity, Black tradition, and Black innovation. By the numbers, that is popular music. So if that music is that dominant, why has culture and society spent so much time refusing to call it what it is? Why was it pushed into a separate category, named or branded as urban, as if the central force in American music were somehow adjacent to the mainstream instead of defining so much of it? That is not just a language issue. It shapes how Black music and art is valued, marketed, funded, distributed, and ultimately controlled. Because once something is labeled niche, specific, or contained, it becomes easier to treat it that way. You can give it smaller budgets, tighter lanes, less institutional power, fewer decision makers who actually come from the culture creating the value. That is how Black creativity can drive the mainstream while ownership and authority remain elsewhere. And this is not only true in music, you see the same pattern in film. Ryan Coogler directed Creed, which revitalized a legendary franchise, and he made Black Panther one of the most highest grossing superhero films of all time. And his most recent film, Sinners, a Southern horror gothic film that is critically acclaimed and commercially successful, gets labeled as Black horror before it's allowed to simply be a horror film. Now, to be clear, depicting the Black experience in a horror genre is not what I'm talking about. Traditionally, much of Black creativity is rooted in the Black experience. But what I am saying is that oftentimes Black music and Black art is unfairly introduced as a Black category first and draped with limitation thereafter. It's framed as specifically Black before it's even given a chance at being specifically universal. And that pattern has long had consequences with funding future projects, industry acknowledgement, and international exposure. When the dominant cultural force is treated like a niche, the industry gets cover for smaller marketing, smaller budgets, lower advances, tighter contracts, less shelf space, less boardroom power in the hands of people who built the culture in the first place. That is why this is not just a cultural conversation, it's a money conversation. Because think about it. Think about the numbers again. 25.3% of all music streaming is Black music. Music driven overwhelmingly by Black artists and Black creative traditions. That gap tells you exactly where the value is being created and where the control is being held. It shows how billions can be generated from a culture without that culture holding proportional power over how it's influenced, how it's financed, distributed, packaged, and owned. That is how people become guests in a house they built. And this is not ancient history. This is current. This is how the structure still works even today. So if this is landing for you, if you have felt this but never had the words for it, or this is helping put language to something you have been sensing, hit that subscribe button because this is exactly the kind of conversation we have on this channel. We go deep on Black art, Black music, and Black culture, not as a niche, but as a foundation. So here's the truth I want to leave you with. And I say this as a musician, as a storyteller whose creative existence is rooted in Black culture and whose work, too, has been denied the full dignity of its centrality. Black creativity is not a branch of popular culture. It is one of the deepest roots in the culture, and especially in American culture. And it shouldn't be given a room, treated as a guest in a house that it built. The sound, the language, the rhythm, the movement, the feeling, it runs through far more of what America calls mainstream culture than this culture is usually willing to admit. The designed, subtle emotion of Black creativity is real, with economic consequences measured in the billions. Now, if you think what I'm saying is wrong, look at the rise of K-pop and the foundation of its origins. So, what are your thoughts? Drop them here in the comments. I would love to read them. And I will see you in the next video.